Hi everybody, I'm Sue Ellen Clayton. Welcome to my channel where we'll be learning the tarot deck one card at a time. Today's video is about the Five of Wands. This video will begin with a short description of the card. Next, I'll briefly explain what the Five of Wands means when it appears in a reading. Then we'll talk about what each element symbolizes and what the card means when it shows up in both the upright and reversed position in a reading. I'll share some examples from my life so that you can relate the card to a real-world situation. And stay tuned until the end, and I'll give you some questions to help you connect with the card. I will be using the Rider-Waite Tarot in this video. You'll find the link to the deck below, as well as to the many books that I've used in my research. So let's get started. In the Five of Wands, we see five adolescent boys fighting with their wands in the air. The boys are facing in different directions, and so are their wands. None of the wands seem to be touching each other or hurting anyone. I think this would be classed as a disagreement and not a fight. All the boys are wearing different colors of clothing. One of the boys is wearing a red hat. The sky is blue and cloudless. The uneven ground is brown and green in color. When the Five of Wands shows up in a reading, it means that you are experiencing conflict and need to use your energy wisely to find a resolution. These people are fighting in a way that they're not emotionally involved in the process, and nobody is getting hurt. Let's go back to what we saw in the card and discuss what each element symbolizes. First of all, we see five adolescent boys fighting with their wands in the air. As I mentioned earlier, the boys are facing in different directions, and so are their wands. It looks like they are bickering or playing some kind of a game versus having a serious fight. It's the kind of fight that would leave the participants energized instead of hurt. The sky is blue and cloudless. This represents that they are thinking clearly and rationally. The uneven ground is brown and green in color. It looks like each of the boys is standing on miniature hills, which shows that each one is grounded in their own opinions. All the boys are wearing different colors of clothing. The different clothes illustrate that the boys perceive the world differently. I am taking these descriptions from Pam Richards' excellent book, Understanding Tarot, which goes far beyond how I could interpret the clothing. You'll find the link to her book below this video. The boy in the blue checked tunic with the yellow sleeves shows someone wanting to talk and filled with optimism. Checks show a balanced outlook, so he may have thought hard about his idea. His red shoes show him taking passionate steps to get to be noticed. The boy to his right, in green with a gray sleeve, represents mental actions and acting thoughtfully. He is a compassionate soul working from the heart, full of contemplation about his idea. His yellow shoes show him taking intellectual steps towards what he's aiming at. To the very left, in shades of brown and yellow, is someone down to earth who may have a practical or even a spiritual view, as shown by his white headband. His shoes are also yellow, showing thought given to his goal. He has red tights, so he will be driven by strong desires to put things into action. The boy in the middle is dressed in red and the only one wearing a hat. He may not want to have his ideas interrupted by other views or logic. His red tunic also shows him to be driven. His shoes are green, which adds some grounding to his passion, so there will be some merit to what he brings to the struggle. The young man at the bottom right of the card wears a blue spotted tunic. His sleeves are yellow and his tights are light green. He is wanting to be noticed as different as an individual. He may be the one full of innovative, unusual ideas. He has odd shoes, so he may be unprepared for getting caught up in this discussion, or he can show indecision about his idea or standing within the group. According to Liz Dean, the author of another wonderful book called The Ultimate Guide to Tarot, which I've linked to below, these individuals can also be seen as the pages in the four minor arcana suits, which approach the contest of strength in a different way. I'll put up images of each page next to the Five of Wands card, and you can see if you agree. The victorious youth in brown and the youth in green, right in the center of the fight, are the fiery pages of wands. The youth holding tight to the prize and showing he can lift his weight is the page of pentacles. The aggressor in red is the page of swords, and the passive youth in blue and white defending himself is the page of cups. When the Five of Wands appears upright in a reading, it means that you are involved in a disagreement, argument, or some kind of bickering, a situation where people have many different viewpoints. You're involved in a friendly game, sport, challenge, or healthy competition. I think this would be like playing Pictionary with your friends. It may be that people are vying for the same position, promotion, or contract. It could mean that you want to pick a fight. It could mean that the conflict is using up a lot of your energy, yet you're not getting anywhere. So basically, you've reached an impasse. And it can also represent litigation. Here's an example of the upright Five of Wands card from my life. This card reminds me so much of my experience working as a volunteer on boards of directors. In the boards I've been on, there are always people who don't want to make progress or decisions. They just want to argue. You bring up an idea and everybody has reasons why it won't work. Or they want to describe the way things have always been done. Or they just want to hear the sound of their own voice. I know some people find these conversations energizing, but I personally find them exhausting. Basically, it's arguing for the sport of it. When the Five of Wands appears reversed in a reading, it means that people are not playing by the rules. What began as a game becomes nasty, and people decide they want to hurt each other. It can mean that you're meeting with challenges and need to think about whether there's an easier way to meet the goal. It might mean that the fight is not worth your time. It could mean that you are frustrated because your ideas have not been acknowledged, that a conflict has been blown out of proportion. It's interesting that while the wands are going in all directions in the upright card, the legs line up when the card is reversed. This indicates that if you relax and stop fighting, you could actually reach some kind of consensus and actually stop the argument. It could mean that a debate, game, or sporting event has been canceled, that you have been deceived or misled about a situation. And like in the upright position, the fives can refer to litigation. I think of lawsuits in the reverse position as being related to nuisance lawsuits, whose purpose is mainly harassment. Here's an example of the reversed reading from my life when I decided that engaging in a conflict wasn't worth my time. Honestly, I hate conflict, so it doesn't take much to deter me. Back in 2017, when Donald Trump was separating families at the border, I had my first experience calling my local congressman's office to tell them that I thought the policy was exceedingly cruel. The person I spoke to, who I later found out had a reputation for being a complete jerk, told me that I was too stupid to understand what Trump was doing, and I needed to leave the political decisions to elected officials who were clearly smarter than me. As I've mentioned through these videos, I am pretty sensitive and don't respond well to conflict. Yet I had all of these politically active friends that were calling the office every day to express their opinions, and they actually seemed energized by the experience. Over the next few months, it was very apparent that these calls were taking a big toll on my mental health. I decided that the fight was not worth it, and there were other ways I could make my voice heard in politics. Here are some questions to help you connect with the Five of Wands. Number 1, are you involved in some kind of dispute? Is everyone, including yourself, playing fairly? Number 2, how do you feel about competition? Is it something you enjoy, or would you rather avoid it? Do you feel like you always need to win at any cost? Number 3, do you need to be more or less assertive during a conflict? Number 4, is the fight worth the effort? Number 5, is there a way to resolve the dispute in a way that works for everyone? And number 6, is your life too chaotic? Do you need to find a way to reduce your stress level? I'd love to have you post your answers or insights in the comment portion of this video. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you when we discuss the next card, the Six of Wands.